Hello, I'm Karma Kitaj, and this show is called A Livelihood, New Careers as We Age. And each time I come onto this show, I'm going to bring you somebody new and interesting that you're going to get to know, who has a compelling story to tell about how they're shifting careers. So today we have somebody very special for you. Her name is Lois Krasilovsky, and I have to tell you the secret. She and I have known each other since we've been teenagers, when we used to hang out at our future in-laws' house in Teaneck, New Jersey. We subsequently married two men who are brothers. That's how I know Lois, and she has a very interesting story to tell us.
Hi, Karma.
Hi, Lois.
Thank you so much for inviting me to this great inaugural event, your first show of A Livelihood. It is my pleasure to be here.
I'm so happy to have you here. So, now that I told people we've known each other forever and ever, I've followed your whereabouts somewhat, and I know long ago, early on in our marriages to the brothers, that you were teaching French in a private school. And then I think later on when you had children, then you started a program called Just Kids, right? An after-school program, which back in those days was not so typical.
Right.
Correct. And then I think in the 70s you got your real estate license.
That's right.
So why don't you let us know, what has it been like for you to be, or I call you a real estate tycoon.
Well, thank you. Glad that I was there for the great markets. I started in 1977 while I was also doing my Just Kids program. We had about 200 kids through the towns of Lincoln and Sudbury, and we were running after-school programs and also started an extended day program. And can you believe we didn't get enough participants? People back then, yeah. Women were at home. Women were at home. But I fell into real estate. A neighbor of mine sort of turned me onto it, and it's been a great career ever since. This is my 32nd year.
Yeah.
I have my own company called Homes by Lois.
Yeah. So then I think you started getting interested in community service at some point. Tell us how you got interested in that.
Well, probably prompted by what you had asked me the other day. It goes way back to my mom and dad, who were always very giving and caring people. My father and mother did a lot of traveling during the height of my dad's career. He owned a family business in New York City, and they would go to Havana, Cuba, and they would go to different places in Puerto Rico. My dad would sponsor people to come back and work in his warehouse. And some of those people, Karma, had been with him were with him for over 40 years, 50 years. And he really gave them a new beginning. I saw my father and lived this with my mom and dad, and always really learned from them that giving back was better than receiving.
Right. So it sounds like that's something that you just grew up with, and you didn't question it. It was just normal.
Yeah, I never really thought about it.
For people to do that.
Yeah, never really thought about it.
Yeah. So at some point you started doing your own good work, right?
Well, I think it came through my children. When my older son went to Noble and Greeno School in Dedham, there was a requirement of 80 hours of community service in order to graduate. And he came to me, this was, when he was probably a freshman. My younger son was 7.5 years younger. And Scott, my oldest son, came to me and said, "Hey, Mom, do you want to push wheelchairs for Boston Home for the Boston Marathon?" And I thought, sure. And I invited Max, my younger son, to come with me. And the three of us were part of the Nobles community at that time, pushing the people who lived and had at the shelter Boston Home. And I think that was the beginning for me. It was just such a wonderful experience. So we pushed them several miles before the race began, and they just felt part of the marathon. So it was great.
Yeah, and sounds like it was terrific for your boys, too.
It was.
To have that experience early on.
Yeah, and they still do community service now. Max at college, and Scott isn't living in New York working, and several Sundays a month he goes through different organizations and does community service through the schools, the public schools.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. My most recent venture was in 2007 when my youngest son Max was graduating from Nobles. That March, I really wasn't invited. I sort of asked if I could, as a parent, go on their community service trip to New Orleans, and they'd never had parents before. So my husband Paul and I were invited and experienced what Katrina had done to the lower Ninth Ward, and specifically worked through Habitat for Humanity and also through a church there, and worked with families as well as did some new construction and building houses. And that was just an incredible experience.
Now, did you also bring a group to Montana? Is that
well, Montana, my journey to Montana was through Nobles again. Linda Hurley invited me to come as one of the quote-unquote leaders, which I was ecstatic about. So Linda and Katie Baxter, who's the librarian at Nobles, and myself came with 10 high school students to the North Cheyenne Reservation, 2.5 hours east of Billings, Montana, where we painted Sister Mary Ann's house. Really, what we did is we went to what was called a prayer lodge, and the prayer lodge is a place or sort of a refuge for battered women and children on the Indian reservation. And so we did a lot of repair work. We laid sod. We what they call mudded the butterfly house, which was actually doing some sheetrock and plastering, and by that now I was an expert at that. And we scraped Mary Ann's house. We built a sandbox. We painted the windmill. It was great. We cooked, we danced, we sang. We went to, I could go on, Karma. We went on horseback. We went horseback riding with a North Cheyenne Indian family. We went into town to Lame Deer and was on the back of Lonnie's truck for the fireworks for 4th of July and celebrated with them. It was a marvelous experience.
Yeah. Now, Lois, have you had any experience before this in doing hands-on building?
I think just through living with a builder contractor, my husband, and also seeing construction, but no, I never really did it myself. I mean, maybe I helped around the house a little bit if Paul needed me to hold something. But no, I never really led a group and did sheetrocking and plastering or.
So how did you learn how to do all that stuff?
I think just watching and doing, and a little bit of common sense. And I think I learned a lot from my husband, I'll be honest with you. Yeah, I did.
So I was going to ask you, what do you bring back with you from this? Like, how do you feel when you come back from one of these
It takes you
excursions?
It just takes you away from the everyday world of listening to all this negative media and what's wrong with the markets and the materialism that surrounds us, and brings you back to feeling how grateful, again, you feel for having what you have, and just wanting to go back and share. I mean, it's something that I think I'll be doing for the rest of my life. I know I will. And you build friends. You have new friends, and it's just a wonderful experience.
Would you say, Lois, that the people that you're meeting on these programs that you're helping out are probably people that you would not meet otherwise?
Absolutely. I would have never met them anywhere, from Ray and Sharon, who are the administrators of the community center, to all these wonderful people that I've met in New Orleans or Montana, who have their own prayers and gifts that they've given to me.
Yeah, so it sounds like you feel that you're really making a difference in the world.
Absolutely, absolutely. And one of my goals is to stay in the United States and here and work here, to work with people. So many people here need help. And it's easier to get to, and we can get there quicker and come back and more often.
Don't need visas or anything.
No, and then it also makes it affordable, too, for asking people to come with you. It doesn't become such a big journey.